Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Silver Years. My name is DK, and I'm very happy to be here. And I humbly thank you for joining me. Today is a new segment of My Story Time. Now, My Story Time is where I tell my story as a way to counter the ever changing official narrative of history, his story, because no one, not even AI, can tell my life story as a direct reflection of the times in which I lived better than me. And this is where I'm telling it. Now, the story that wants to be told today is coming in from 1980, and it begins at the Eisenhower Tunnel on I 70, driving east into Denver, Colorado. Now, I did talk about the Eisenhower Tunnel once before, and I'll put a link to that. I think the my story time piece was 1983, of Year of Change, my um, near death experience on the Eisenhower Tunnel. But this one was a different kind, and this happened 3 years before. So we're in 1980. Now, at the time, we were living in Littleton, Colorado, and money was really tight. Okay. I was young. We were all young. There wasn't enough money to barely live. I don't know, even know how we did it. We had a 1973 powder blue Volkswagen Beetle. That was our car of the time. Okay. So it was what it was. Okay. So at this time, we had to drive. We couldn't afford to fly. All I had was one child at the time. So my first child was, probably 4 or 5. And we had to drive to Southern California because my first husband, his sister was getting married in Southern California. And my daughter was going to be a flower girl or something in the wedding. So we had to come and we needed to get there. We couldn't afford to fly. So what we did was we drove, and we drove a lot. Okay. During the years I lived in Colorado, we drove to California more times than I can count. And we never spent the night or anything. We always drove straight through. We knew where to stop to get the gas and how to efficiently go from the Denver metro area to Orange County where we were headed. So this is what we did. We had to go for this wedding. Okay. And all of that was fine. That wasn't the issue. Okay. And then while we were there, we spent some time swimming and we spent some time at the ocean, and we just kind of enjoyed the few days that we were there. And when the wedding was over and it was time to come back, we made our drive back. The thing is that we have very little to no cash. I mean, we didn't have enough money really to drive back, even to just do gas. There was no stopping to eat or anything. We would stop for bathroom breaks, but that was about it. And what I remember on this trip is what we would do is you get to a certain point. I think it was Green River, Utah, is where we last gassed up before we drove in through Grand Junction and on I 70 and to get into the tunnel. So here we were. We spent our last dime gassing up at Green River and didn't know if we'd even have enough gas to make it home. And the truth is we really didn't. According to the gauge and everything else, we didn't have enough gas to make it home. And there were no such thing as debit cards at the time, and there were no such thing as we didn't have any credit cards. We didn't have anything. It was cash or nothing. And all the cash we had went into the gas tank. So we get to Eisenhower Tunnel, and that sucked up a lot of gas, making that steep grade climb up from Frisco on the west side of the tunnel to get to the tunnel. And when we got through the tunnel, we made the executive decision that we were going to coast into our driveway at home. So we did. We just did it, and man, talk about nail biting. It was very stressful making this drive, but we did. We coasted, and honest to God, I don't know how we did. I don't know how we made it. Really, truly, it was. I really didn't know. It was a wing and a prayer for sure, for sure. But we did coast. We had fumes, nothing but fumes. And we made it to our driveway and we made it home. And my daughter, just like the 1983 experience when we were moving to Southern California, um, she was sitting in the back seat of the car, oblivious to it all. We were just handling it in the front seat and keeping our stress to ourselves. But I think the topper of the whole thing was when my husband at the time, the next day, or that next morning, he woke up and there was blood on the pillow. His eardrum had burst. Now the Eisenhower Tunnel it's really high elevation, 11,000 or higher. I can't remember. But apparently he had some water behind his eardrums from the time we were swimming and all that. And going through the tunnel, the pressure of the elevation had burst his eardrum, literally. He had to go to the doctor and get it managed, but there wasn't really much to do. I mean, once your eardrum bursts, I don't know that there's much to do for it. And I do think that he has forever lost hearing in that ear. I can't speak to that, but I think I heard my daughter say something about that once upon a time. So, yeah, there was the ride through Eisenhower Tunnel. And on the other, this time we were, instead of going west like we were in the Cadillac, we were coming east in the Volkswagen. And thank God for that little car. We just put the transmission into neutral and just coasted down that steep grade all the way into the metro area and barely had enough to um, make the drive south to our home. So I know, funny. I just, some of these stories just come in and I'm thinking, oh my God, these are the things that I lived. And they're not really documented anywhere, but this is part of the legacy. And if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. And this has to do with my children and the legacy going forward. There's just so much we're not informed about, and it would make a difference in how we navigate going forward. So this is just a little story, a little anecdote of something that happened, but it took a lot for us to be able to coast and like I said, a wing and a prayer to get home. And we did. We just did. No one to call, no one to depend on, no outside anything. We just had to do it. And we did. So, in conclusion, and for whatever it's worth, this is my little protest against his story. This is me telling my story my way as a legacy. And for the record, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. And I would love to hear your stories as well. Please feel free to share your comments. I'd love to hear them. Until next time, be well, choose love, and thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.